it is. And who's really right and wrong, and does it really matter at the end of the day? You see what I mean? It really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So we've got to let go of a lot of stuff. It's kind of like eating meat. I eat meat. The kind of meat I like to eat is fish. So in a lot of people's books, I'm not really a meat eater because I don't eat red or white meat. Like chicken. Typically, I'll eat a bird now and then, at a special occasion, Christmas or Thanksgiving. But I lean toward if I'm going to eat meat, it's going to be the fish because that's the one I could actually catch and clean and cook the whole bit. But the other ones, the other animals are harder. The chickens and the pigs and the cows and the lambs and all that sort of thing. So I kind of veer away because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to make somebody else do a job I'm not willing to do. One of the reasons why I'm a careful driver, I don't want to get in an accident and then make a paramedic. I don't want to injure somebody seriously and not being able to help them or myself. So, I try to be a careful driver. So, but we all can't help being hypocrites to some degree. I know I've been affiliated with the Seventh-day Adventist Church before, and they're some of the nicest people in the world. Very devout, very wonderful, do anything for you. Okay, give you the shirt off their back, literally. But they can't get legalistic about it and get too uptight about it. Just like Jesus said, he said, "You hypocrites, you say this guy shouldn't do this on the Sabbath, but he shouldn't even heal people like they told Jesus. But you're doing all this stuff because the Seventh-day Adventists, as most people know, adhere to Saturday as being the Sabbath day. That's the proper day of worship, they believe." Which is true, historically speaking. It was actually the Roman Catholic Church wielding their power that caused this change of the days of worship. And this is why the Pope is known as the Antichrist to them. And he didn't like the Seventh-day Adventists because they were exposing with the Catholic, the hypocritical nonsense that the religion itself was spewing. The people are great. I mean, you can't beat Catholic people. I got a lot of relatives that are Catholic, and they're the nicest people you could ever meet. So I'm not talking about that. But you see how everything gets muddied up. The waters of our, quote, reality are all muddied. And we've got to get that. We've got to admit that, and we've got to take the bull by the horns and say, well, what do we do to turn it around? And that's the best thing I can do for humanity, is tell you what the best thing to do is. And since we know that votes can be stolen, so they can steal, they can assassinate people. I mean, look at JFK. Look how much our reality, how different it would be if JFK had remained president and your currency was worth X amount then. Well, now it's worth exponentially more because of JFK's policy of sound currency. This is why he got dead. So understand, that's who these kind of people are manipulating our reality. How can we know reality when we know that they're deliberately doing this stuff? They're deliberately stealing our wealth. And who is they? So who do we confront to change things? Well, the most important thing is to get the power in numbers, to enlighten the public and empower them to know what the issues are and know the reality that they could have, the economic, financial reality that they could have, as opposed to the one that's been inflicted upon them. And understand the reasons why it's been inflicted upon you, to rip you off, to rob the wealth of your nations so that your children, their children, just gets worse and worse. The can keeps getting kicked down the road. They don't confront it. And all these things, like Gerald Celente says, these things lead to trade wars, world wars, all these problems. This is what debt does. And they walk around with all the loot. They've got countless money. They've got money in perpetuity. They've got as much as they want. But they lead us into war over these problems, trade disputes, right? Then he says world wars. That's where all this stuff ends up, because they just want to throw it into the abyss and throw it into the bonfire, and say, no, don't look at me. Look over here. You got bigger problems. Don't worry about who's stealing the wealth of your nations forever. Okay, you got to focus over. You got a world war to contend with over here. That's what they want, to just throw the whole thing. It's just like throwing the board. They're going to start, instead of winning the game by cheating and all this, the board game, they're just going to throw it over and say, no, I don't care about this game anymore. I'm losing. So, they want to throw it over, and that's how they would throw it over, by starting some ginormous war. There's different ways to pay the debt back. There's your taxes. They could just make everybody pay more taxes. They could do it through sound money. They could do it through tariffs. Tariffs are another way to do it. Um, and or they could do it through GDP, gross domestic product, through trade. Say, well, we need to start exporting more stuff and importing less stuff and try to get this thing paid off. We got to work harder as Americans because we got this debt. That's basically how it would go. But, other than gaining control over the money printing operation, things aren't going to change. So the only real, powerful word of advice I can give anybody is to understand who the top culprits are and who their minion sycophants are, which is the politicians. Okay. It doesn't matter if your cost of living is burdensome, your taxes, your cost of living is a form of taxation. People got to make no bones about it. Understand very clearly that the cost of living is a tax. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So once you understand what's going on here, you understand the method they choose to pay the debt back is through just maintaining it, just keep increasing it and debase your currency. So they're paying the debt back. The numbers are high, right? But the worth is down. It's just like, borrowing $100 30 years ago. Today that $100 is worth $10, but you still pay back the $100. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the method of repayment of the debt that they've selected, because that's the one that falls on the back of the poor. That just creates more poverty. Say, oh, well, there's just not enough. We're in debt, so we got to cut social welfare spending, when they created the need for the social welfare programs. And once all these maintenance programs are etched in stone, because that's what the social welfare, it's maintenance, right? And if the problem ever goes away, there's a lot of people out of a job. This is what you've got to understand. Understand the diabolical, cunning, deceitful nature of this thing. The prison industry, if crime suddenly plummeted because everybody started feeling secure financially as they saw their currency increasing in worth, and it felt so good. And he said, I'm never going back. Humanity's never going back to that state where we're borrowing money and these people walk around with all the loot as they steal from generation after generation. We've got an obligation to future generations to stand up against these people and say, no, we the people, like an ocean, need to descend upon the Federal Reserve Bank and take it over. No violence. If they want to get violent, get it on video, okay? But we're here to take over the facility. Do you understand? That's it. Short of the return of Jesus Christ, that's all we can do. That's the best we can do. And I don't know who's out there listening that has a voice that can tell other people, this is what we're going to do on this day. We're going to descend on the Federal Reserve branches. What is there, 7 or 12 of them across the country? And we're taking over this operation. Notify the Treasury. Say, look, this is what's happening here. We are demanding accountability. We are demanding oversight. We are demanding that we, the people, get our way and not these thieves and liars and cheaters and murderers, okay? Well, anyhow, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, and everybody have a great day out there, and we'll probably talk again.